center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 oh. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Thought-provoking Thursdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. I'm in Manhattan today, here live on KBLA Talk 1580. On Thought-provoking Thursdays, our regular contributor, Atiba, who's former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, NBCSL, and a Strategic Alliance Consultant and President of Party Politics US. He's worked as a political contributor for BNC News, The Heat, In the Know with Mo, The Leslie Marshall Show, iHeartRadio, Government Exec, 96.3 WHUR, and the One America News Network. I'm particularly honored for our engaging conversations that we have on a weekly basis, and for the representatives across the country, including senators in state legislatures that Atiba brings regularly to our show. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Jesse, it's good to be with you, and it's just interesting. We just, I'm also in Manhattan for the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators spring meeting.
I am so glad that you are here. I had a wonderful and amazing opportunity just yesterday to speak in Raleigh, North Carolina, during the D9, that is the 9 African-American fraternities and sororities who have come together in ways that, for most of their histories, has fundamentally changed given the urgency of the hour. As you know, most of these organizations were founded during the Jim Crow period. Many of their original founders, both the male members of the fraternities and the female members of the sororities, out of loyalty to Lincoln, just like Martin Luther King Jr.'s father, Daddy King, they were Lincoln Republicans, out of loyalty to Lincoln. Of course, over time, the Democratic Party, the New Deal under Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and the Great Society under Lyndon Johnson, the Democratic Party ran, and we, along with our civil rights movement, those Dixiecrats out of the Democratic Party, they joined the Republican Party. And for the first time, and I've spoken at thousands of events over the course of my 17 years in Congress, I had the opportunity to participate in something fairly amazing. And that was the lobbying day of the D9 in the state of North Carolina in District 6. I got to be candid with you, Atiba. I've never seen anything so well organized. I've never seen the political consciousness of the D9 or any African-American groups on the scale that I saw in North Carolina. And before I introduce our very special guests, I want you to understand and to appreciate that I am grateful for the consciousness that they have brought to this process and to the leadership that you've shown over the course of your work with the NBCSL.
Thank you for that. I just want to say, first off, Jesse, I'm glad you got that experience. I'm glad that you left with the spirit. I actually read some of what you shared this morning on social media, because people say we can't, but we can. And it's amazing, just that the leaders and the shoulders of leaders that we stand on. And, that there's one of the legislators today from New Mexico, Tara Lujan, asked me what are my thoughts in terms of going forward. And we've got to figure out how to inject hope. And it's doing what you and many others were doing yesterday that gives us hope. And that hope is in the action that we take to better our own lives and to, as I like to say, do for self. So thank you so much for sharing that.
I'm honored that the Honorable Candy D. Smith, who's been deeply involved and invested in Eastern North Carolina community since moving to Greenville, North Carolina in 2004. She became a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Inc. and served on the Neighborhood Advisory Board. She was first elected to the office as a Greenville City Councilwoman for District 1 in 2009. And after serving as Mayor Pro Tem, Candy made history, and I hate to call her Candy, the Honorable Candy Smith made history by becoming the first African-American female mayor of the city of Greenville, North Carolina in 2017. She was first elected to the North Carolina General Assembly in 2018 as a representative for House District 8, where she served 2 terms, and in 2022, she was elected to the North Carolina State Senate for District 5, covering Edgecombe as well as Pitt counties. Representative Senator Candy Smith, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
You know, I am absolutely impressed with the extraordinary concern raised by a panel that I heard Candy on, and some introductory remarks that she made to the more than 400, it might have been 600 people there yesterday, who lobbied the North Carolina legislature on a number of issues. Candy, we have just about a minute before we come forward, and we're going to have a more extensive conversation after our brief break. First, let me begin by thanking and welcoming you for being on our program.
Well, I say thank you. And it was an honor to have you as our special guest. And I was more excited to hear that you enjoyed what we were trying to do, because we have to make sure that we come together. This fight is real.
It is a real fight. And I thought that one of the clearest voices that I heard yesterday, and in fact, every single voice was particularly clear and made it easier for me as the keynote speaker on that occasion, Atiba, to be able to address and support. I came to support, not to provide any leadership, to support what the D9 is already doing. As you know, most members of our fraternities and sororities are college educated. They're lawyers, they're judges, they're state representatives, they're state senators, they're mayors. These were very, very serious people. I was very proud to be in their midst. More with Candy Smith when we come forward. She is the Honorable State Senator from North Carolina in District 5, where she presently serves. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2025, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-259-4149. That's 800-259-4149. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-259-4149 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Show. These are our conversations with Atiba, the former executive director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. I'm very honored that Candy Smith, the Honorable Candy Smith, the state senator from North Carolina, District 8, is on our show today. In part, in large measure, because of our time together yesterday. In her voice, I heard an urgency yesterday in the engagement of Black people in the 2026 midterms. And I'd like to allow Senator Smith, the Honorable Candy Smith, the opportunity to share with her, from her perspective in the state of North Carolina, exactly what that urgency is. Candy? Atiba, I understand that Candy will be joining us in 1 second because she had an audio problem hearing us. Atiba, my goal on our program is to have as many of these state legislators during the midterms come on our program from as many states as possible so that we can get a true feel for what is taking place. What have you been hearing at the Hispanic Legislative Caucus since you've been here in New York?
Yeah, so this yesterday we had Governor Hochul came and she gave a very really good speech. And then this morning, Leader Jeffries was with us and Congressman Gallego. And, you know, what we're hearing is, you know, it's the issues that are affecting Americans and not just African American, not just Hispanic American, every American. We're getting hit with affordability, their rising healthcare costs. Everyone, of course, here is talking about ICE. So, all these issues are issues that are not just midterm issues. They are, in my opinion, they're American issues and issues that we've got to figure out ways that we got to come together across our communities. And talking to state legislators here, and next week I'll be with the National Black Caucus of State Legislators in Denver, Colorado. Is, the great thing is that they're also talking amongst themselves. So I'm hopeful, but the reality is, as I like to tell people, midterms effing matter, and we've got to figure out not just how we're going to vote, but how we're going to also plan for some things that may be unexpected. And that's one of the things that Leader Jeffries talked about, and I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Senator Smith, yesterday when we had the great privilege of meeting each other, I heard in your voice an urgency within the state of North Carolina, and also an urgency that is taking place from your perspective in states around the country about not only African American and minority voter participation in the midterms, but the agenda that is being presented in these state legislative bodies that undermine a century of progress that African Americans have made. Senator, please take your time and share with us your thoughts.
Well, the urgency that you heard was already mentioned when we start talking about affordability and what's taking place now. But what we've seen as an agenda on the inside is this DEI. They're trying to do everything they can to erase our history and to change things around so they can say that we have now not given them an opportunity. And that has been so disappointing to hear, because one of my colleagues in the Senate introduced the Death Penalty Act to come back, and that you can kill someone with the firing squad. And then one of my peers stood up at that moment and said, I'll be the one willing to fire the first shot.
Wow.
That was so disheartening to hear. It's like you were talking about, you care about life, but now you're standing up in the chamber on the Senate floor talking about let you get the gun so you can fire the first shot. We should be taking care of people. We're the only state in the country that has not passed a budget yet. People are hurting. Hospitals are closing. They're in dire straits right now. And it's us. It's what we're not doing. And that's our one constitutional obligation, is to pass that state budget. And we have not done that yet. So it is very bad out here. And every store I go into, every restaurant I go into, every school I visit, they stop me and say, when are we going to pass a budget? When are we going to pass a budget? All of this affects them and them taking care of other people. So we're in some dire straits right now. And I need to make sure that people understand the importance of not just registering people to vote, but following up and taking them to vote. Because as you stated, the midterms, these are so important. We just had primary elections, and the leader of the Senate, who has been in control for the last 15 years, ruling with an iron fist, lost his election by 2 votes. And then once they counted the provisional ballots, he ended up losing by 23 votes. He spent over $10 million. That's in a primary against his own party. And so now we have an opportunity, because, they're going to be doing infighting. Somebody wants to lead them. We have to take every opportunity to make sure that we fight to not just be in the minority. We have to take it back. We have to break it. We have to take it back, because people are depending on us and what we do and how we stand up and how we fight for them, because affordability is key. When I filled my gas tank up the other day and it was $103, I almost passed out.
We did. I drove from Raleigh, North Carolina to New York and filled up a few times. I'm still looking for help. Atiba, can you compare notes with where you are right now with the senator, and you guys engage in a dialogue on what she is experiencing on the ground in North Carolina, and Hispanic legislative members are sharing with you here in New York?
Yeah, Senator Smith, thank you so much for being here. Just a few weeks ago, we had Representative Amber Baker on with us. And North Carolina is very dear to me. I have an aunt who's 106 years old. My family has roots in North Carolina, and just really applaud just all the work and the challenges that you all face every day. Here at the Hispanic Caucus, I'm hearing the same issues that we hear about at Black Caucus, because these are American issues. Actually, I'm going to take it a step further because these are human issues. And so when we're talking about how, someone on the floor of the North Carolina Senate is talking about that they want to be the first one to fire a shot, we also know that what happens at the top will trickle down to the bottom. And that's what we're seeing. It's all coming down to the bottom. Now, in terms of the gridlock and the things that what you all are seeing, one of the other things that we talked about today, and Leader Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, talked about was, and we had another political update yesterday and another one this morning. And what these updates keep showing is that Republicans are actually not in the driver's seat that they thought that they would be. And I'm saying that, I'm offering that out because I think that as much as we can talk about the issues, I also want to give some information about some hope. What's going on, for instance, in Utah, in a redrawn district that they redraw thinking that it was going to be for them, that looks like it will definitely go blue in 2026. And we've seen seats in elections that have come up across the country that were traditionally Republican or that lean pretty strongly toward the president, that are either closing, the margin is close, or Democrats are winning. Do you see any of that happening in North Carolina, even if it's just one seat or two seats? But do you see any of that happening in North Carolina where it gives us some kind of sliver of hope that, the change is coming?
I do. We have some seats right now where they lean Republican in numbers, but they're on the cusp of having the turnout that we expect to have, that they will be turned blue. So we're fighting for those. And I think right now in the Senate, I'm looking at approximately 3. Now, if God blesses us with 5, if people really get out the way they should, we took it. You see what I'm saying? It's in our hands. But in the House, they need fewer than we do. So I think they need maybe 1 or 2. And they were just in the minority. We were in the super minority. So I see that there is a possibility that we can really make some inroads. And I think that if people remember what's happening right now, not just at the pumps, but when you're buying your eggs and everything else, all these tariffs and how they've affected the prices, if they remember these things and understand this is not what they want, trust me, we can do like Virginia. We can take it all back.
Talia Virgin serves as the North Carolina Social Action. Talia Virgin serves as the North Carolina Social Action Coordinator for the South Atlantic region of Delta Sigma Sorority. She's also the immediate past president of the Johnston County Alumni Chapter. And as a leader in community engagement, Talia is the chartering president of the U.S. Veteran Affairs Chapter of the National Association of Black Social Workers, demonstrating her commitment to civic engagement. I had the great privilege of meeting Talia just this past, within the last 24 hours. Talia, 800,000 African Americans in the state of North Carolina did not vote. And I was particularly struck by that number, and also the serious nature within which the D9 is now approaching, recognizing getting our people registered and getting them out to vote does matter. I've even heard that a Supreme Court justice lost a seat in North Carolina by 400 votes. At a time school funding issues were on the table. Talia, we have about 3 minutes before we come forward, which is our break. Talia, your initial thoughts about civic engagement.
My initial thoughts about civic engagement has to do with us all mobilizing. I think a lot of emphasis was placed on voter registration, but we did not place enough emphasis on voter turnout. We need 7 touches to ensure that we get voters out. They don't need to be engaged in October, November. They need to be engaged now. We're doing an aggressive campaign to engage people on the ground, because we realized from when President Obama was elected, the ground game counts. So what happens is now in North Carolina, we are doing a ground game, making sure voters are educated, making sure they're mobilized, and make sure they get out to vote. This is just not about registering people. This is about getting them out to vote. We are showing people how these changes affect their everyday lives. Gas being $4 a gallon affects somebody, a family that only makes $30,000 a year. And in North Carolina, we don't have a public transportation system. So everybody has to drive.
You know, Atiba, one of the reasons I'm highlighting these North Carolinians is because some of the feedback from our program and legislative efforts in North Carolina yesterday is now South Carolina is serious about organizing their D9 and serious about having an annual legislative day that lobbies their state legislature for issues of justice and issues that matter as well. We are trying to spread from the most qualified and the best organizing effort I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot, in all 50 states. I was co-chairman of Barack Obama for president in 2008. I was co-chairman of Barack Obama for U.S. Senate with the late Paul Simon in 2006. I've never seen anything quite like what Senator Smith and what Talia are doing in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, and we got to get our souls to the polls, and you know we've got to look at and recognize that voter registration is important, but so is voter education.
Mm-hmm.
I'm particularly excited that 3 activists who are joining us in the midterms from the state of North Carolina, and our regular contributor Atiba is with us. When we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580, we're going to talk about some of the issues on the ground in North Carolina that matter, to which the D9 has decided to take direct action, and to which Senator Smith and others have been responding and fighting their own caucus, Democrats, as well as Republicans, to do right by the demands and the redress of grievances for the people of North Carolina. They are setting the stage and developing a model that must be duplicated in every state in the union. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Jury selection is underway in the trial of 4 Florida gang members accused of killing rapper Julio Fulio in 2024.
They were going to make sure that they killed Mr. Jones, that he was not going to live, that they were not going to go back to Jacksonville without him dying.
Prosecutors say the group tracked him to a Tampa hotel during his birthday and planned to seek the death penalty if convicted. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats will push to pass a resolution limiting President Trump's war powers in Iran during a House session. All Republicans are expected to block it. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate plans to vote on a similar measure next week. And music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is seeking a faster ruling in his appeal after arguments wrapped up in federal court. He was sentenced to 50 months on prostitution-related charges, and his attorneys argue the acts were consensual and protected as judges now weigh their decision. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Did you know April is National Car Care Month? Head to your local Big O Tires for great deals like this. Now, get a synthetic oil change starting at only $39.99, including tire rotation. Plus, get a free multi-point vehicle inspection, too. Find your nearest Big O at BigOTires.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Lakers legend Michael Cooper is the new men's basketball coach at Cal State LA. The NBA Hall of Famer was introduced Thursday morning at a press conference inside the school's arena. Cooper replaces Jim Saya, who retired after 10 seasons. First head coaching job for the 69-year-old Cooper since 2009 when he was leading the WNBA LA Sparks. Cooper played all 12 of his NBA seasons with the Lakers and helped them win 5 championships. The UCLA women's basketball program will receive $1.4 billion in NCAA revenue distribution from the women's basketball tournament. The $1.4 million includes a $75,000 bonus for winning the national championship. Most of the tournament income is generated by gate revenues and the 8-year, $920 million broadcast deal the women's tournament has with ESPN. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That fun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I filed my return,
But I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though.
I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Atiba. Jesse will be joining us back in a few minutes. And right now, we are joined by State Senator Talia Virgin. I'm sorry, not State Senator. I'm sorry, by Talia Virgin and Senator Candy Smith. We are talking about what's going on in the state of North Carolina, where Jesse was yesterday. Senator Smith, in terms of tax policy, in terms of what's going on in North Carolina, can you tell us, a bit about the groundwork there, how that's impacting your constituents in the state?
Well, I think that's the major reason. One of the major reasons why we don't have a budget right now is because in the House and the Senate, the Republicans have been arguing over the tax policy, and they have not come to an agreement with each other. So they didn't even give us as Democrats an opportunity to have an argument with them. They were so busy arguing with each other. Now, the major thing, if we look at the tax policy, what they want to do is they are trying to eliminate the corporate income tax by 2030. And so with them trying to do that, they got a lot of scheduled cuts that they're trying to make, and it's all for the wealthy. And so that is affecting people who know that we're having issues with affordability. And we're like, why do you think making sure that we pay taxes, those of us who are common people, but when we look at corporations and those who are wealthy, they don't have to pay any at all? I mean, how does that work out? And so they've been going back and forth, back and forth. And now that the one who was the most powerful person in North Carolina lost his election, he's a lame duck. So I'm not sure if the Speaker in the House is going to even be willing to work with him, because they did not work together all this time and we don't have a budget. Who's to say he's going to work with them now? So we may go this entire biennium with no budget whatsoever. And a lot of that is based on the tax policy. Now, I can say, before we left out, the House sent a budget, a proposed mini budget over, and it gave teacher raises. It took care of first responders. And the Senate said, nope, we can't take it. It's illegal because we already closed out. I was like, really? All of us was ready to go back, and they refused to call us. So we have a lot of issues about these taxes. And I think that the common man, is time out to say those who have all the money, they don't have to pay anything. Like, why would we do that? And knowing that we already have an affordability issue, knowing that we have a housing crisis, knowing that we have people who are hurting, and we operate based on the money that the taxpayers give us, right? And so what does that say to them? How do we think about them? Do we care anything about them? No, we're just going to take it over to corporations and say they don't have to pay. But I can tell you, if you don't have the people, you don't have a corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So we're struggling right now.
Jesse, can I just? I want to also add this, Senator Smith. It's something that bothers me all the time when we think about taxes and the way that we tax and how, for particularly the middle class, is taxed. Mm-hmm. It's like a slave tax. And what you just talked about in corporations, like the corporation or the government is the plantation. And so either we're slaves or we're sharecroppers. We're working to just try to survive. So it's like, let's just say you take $100, you already taxed 33% of that. So you're left with 67. Then you tax another anywhere from 15 to 20%. So now you're down below $50. By the time the local county, and then you like trying to pay for food and this or whatever, you're down to nothing. You have no money to save. So you're basically working for somebody else. And then that money, if we're looking at, for instance, from the federal standpoint, is then taken by irresponsible players who then spend the money on wars or spend the money in a way or manipulate something in order for their friends to make money. So I think that in terms of all the things that are going on too, when I talk about voter education and voter registration, it's also for us as voters to be as informed as possible, to know that when we are voting for our representatives, to recognize that they play a part in how much money we get to keep in our pockets.
Absolutely.
I want to ask a quick question, if you don't mind, to Talia. In part because in the state of North Carolina, you did something that other states have struggled with by having a white plaintiff moved to a rural area, and they filed a lawsuit because the white plaintiff left a school district. When they moved to the rural and minority area, they found out or appreciated for the first time that our schools were not equal to their schools, and they filed a lawsuit that the Supreme Court, previous Supreme Courts, actually ruled in the favor of Leandrew, that challenged the state legislature to spend billions of dollars to fix the inequity in schools. And then a conservative court was recently reelected or elected, and they threw the lawsuit out that promised billions of dollars to schools where minority children would be the beneficiaries. Talia, talk about the urgency of that problem.
The urgency of the problem is the fact that, again, we now have separate and unequal schools. And North Carolina, again, is not taking ownership for it. The fact that we don't have a budget, you know, when you ask why doesn't the school have it, you know what I hear? Well, we don't have a budget. They have to go on the budget from last year. Even though the schools have grown exponentially, even though the kids are there needing supplies, North Carolina has tied their hand. So then you add that, and then you add the fact that North Carolina, again, is not growing at the rate it should. They're taking our tax dollars, but we're getting nothing on return. And I'm going to tell you that they talk about kids in rural areas, but I'm going to tell you those kids in rural areas are suffering because they don't have food and they don't have health care. That's the same two things that fell down for North Carolina. North Carolina has no health care. So I'm going to tell you that so many people's health care went up exponentially from like $50 to $250. So I'm telling you, they're not even taking care of the healthcare. So you have kids coming to school that they need dental, they need food. And again, we have a school that doesn't supply it because they're going on last year's budget. The urgency of it is that they're showing you that North Carolina, instead of moving forward, is going backwards.
It's interesting that you have a blue state, you have a blue governor, a blue attorney general, but it is still a red state. And let me, with the final 2 minutes that we have in this segment, allow the senators to respond to this. Black Voters Matter issued a report that said, with the Robinson versus Clay decision out of Louisiana and other Supreme Court challenges to the Voting Rights Act, we could lose 198 Black state representatives and Black state senators in this election cycle. Senator Smith, will you share with us your thoughts and concerns about attacks on the Voting Rights Act at this hour in our nation's history?
Well, I think everybody knows that we're looking at what's even happening with the SAVE Act. And if we look at that, they are trying every way they can to suppress the vote. And if they can redistrict and draw people like me out, that's going to put them at the advantage. So they're trying to figure out how they could do that. When we did redistricting in North Carolina, they went through my district. They went through the Black area and they took the seat away. And so now we only had 3 Black representatives in Congress in the first place. And the one that they just redistrict, he decided to go ahead and run in that district, and that's Congressman Don Davis. But he has a hard road to go because of how they've already redistricted. They are trying to take us out any way they can. And when people hear about this, it creates voter apathy because they get sick and tired of someone trying to do all these things. And then if you got to use a passport and all that, that's poll tax. Come on now. They're doing what they can.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 more with Senator Smith and Talia. When we come forward, I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're at Doolin's on Crenshaw. It's a special place where the neighborhood comes together. Got the fried chicken, the catfish, the candy yams, the mac and cheese. It's all delicious. I'm Isaac Bryan. I represent the Crenshaw District in the California State Legislature, and I'm supporting Tom Steyer for governor of California. California is under attack, and we need a fighter who's going to come in on day one and stand up for California values and push back. That person is Tom Steyer. Tom and I have been fighting together for the better part of a decade. Tom is the only candidate supported by Smart Justice because Tom has stood on the front lines of racial justice, economic justice, and true solidarity. Tom is the real deal. He's the only candidate in the race with a comprehensive plan to make the billionaires and the corporations pay their fair share so we can fund things like universal health care and education. He means what he says, and he does what we need. This is a moment when we've got to fight fire with fire, and I believe that fire is Tom Steyer.
Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026. Stay informed with 24/7 power outage alerts from LADWP delivered straight to your phone or email when an outage occurs. Get notified when there's a major outage and again when your power is restored. Track up to 3 neighborhoods, like your home, your workplace, even a family member's. Stay connected. Stay informed. Sign up at ladwp.com/outage alert. That's ladwp.com/outage alert. Sign up today at ladwp.com/outage alert. From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Created with a share of the 1984 Olympic Games surplus, LA 84 began operations in 1985 as a grant-making and educational foundation. Today, the LA 84 Foundation supports hundreds of nonprofit youth sports organizations throughout Southern California annually, trains coaches, commissions research, convenes conferences, and maintains the world's premier Olympic and sports library collection. They are transforming lives and communities through the power of youth sports. To find out about youth sports programs for yourself or your child, and to get information about the grants and support they offer to schools and nonprofits, or if you want to make a donation, please visit la84.org. That's la84.org. Or you can call them at 323-730-4600. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580.
On KBLA Talk 1580, we are in our conversation with Atiba, the former executive director of the National Black Caucus of State Legislatures. And joining us in this hour, the Honorable Candy Smith, Senator from the 8th Senatorial District in the state of North Carolina. In her first North Carolina State Senate term, Candy has taken on several leadership roles, serving as first vice chair of the Legislative Black Caucus and second vice chair of the Bipartisan Women's Caucus. And Talia Virgin is a licensed clinical social worker who operates TELJAM Consulting and Consulting Services. Both of these ladies are members of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Senator Smith is in the legislature. Talia Virgin, responsible for helping organize Lobbying Day and Legislative Day in North Carolina, bringing hundreds of members of the Divine Nine to the state capitol in Raleigh to hold Democrats and Republicans accountable to our agenda. I want to ask Talia 2 quick questions and spread it out in the context of our brief conversation that we have remaining. The SAVE Act, as well as the Voting Rights Act challenges, along with some of these funding issues, are very important to inspiring voters and educating them in the process. Leah, how do we do that?
We educate them from the ground. We educate them where they're at church, in the barbershops, in the community. We have everyone talking about the SAVE Act, and again, letting people know the impact it will have and when it takes your rights away. We talk about young people, but it also affects elderly people. Realize that a lot of Black people born in the 1930s did not have the customary birth certificate. You know, some people had baby girl Tucker on there or baby girl Jackson on there. And think about it, your name is not baby girl. Now, these elderly people have to now get different IDs so that they can vote. The SAVE Act is not just a poll tax, it's a way to to tell people don't vote, a way to create a barrier that's so difficult. Because again, it's not just that you need all of this ID, you have to pay for the ID. The ID is not free in North Carolina. So again, this is us trying to educate people ahead of time, and so that they can understand that this is a bait and switch to take your rights away.
Atiba, you have some questions in our final segment of both the senator and Talia.
Yeah, I don't even know if I have so much of a question. First of all, I just want to do this. I just want to say thank you. Thank you for what you all are doing. And one of the joys, Jesse, that I have being able to work with state legislators around the country is to actually talk to people who are right there engaged with their constituents every single day. And when I worked for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators and we wanted to go meet with Senator Harry Reid when he was the Senate Majority Leader, who did we go to? We went to our legislator who was in Las Vegas, and said, hey, we want to go speak with Senator Reid because you all have that connection to these federal lawmakers also. And today, when I was in the room with Leader Jeffries, he called out every New York Assembly member and senator there. I didn't even realize and forgot that he had served also in the state assembly in New York. So, you know, just the power of the state assembly, the power of advocates, that even though right now this seems like a dark time, this is a bright time. When you make a diamond, you got to crush something, right? In order for that diamond to shine. Right now, the pressure is on us. It is for us to live up to what our responsibility is, and we are going to shine. This midterm election is about us, and it is about us voting, and it's about what you all are doing and what you're talking about in terms of educating voters and making sure that they get their souls, I won't say something else, that they sit on, to the polls.
We always ask our very special guests to conclude on a word of hope. And let me begin by asking Talia, with the 4 minutes that we have left, if you could offer for 2 minutes a word of hope to our national audience and our audience in Los Angeles. Talia, and followed by Senator Candy Smith, a word of hope.
The word of hope is that we can change this election. They want to make us think we can't, but we have the power to sway the vote. A lot of times we look at elections and think, wow, what do I make a difference? But I tell you, in North Carolina, we had the most powerful person lose their seat for 23 votes. Realize that we can sway the election if we just show up. People count on us not showing up, but let's make them wrong. Let's show them that our vote matters and you can't take our vote for granted any longer. Again, as we turn out in record numbers, it says something, just like it says something if we don't. So I'm telling you, people in North Carolina are on fire. They're invigorated. I'm telling you, we had turnout like we've never had before at all of our events. I'm telling you that North Carolina is ready. It has been a shift and a change. And I'm going to tell you, once somebody gets woke, you can't make them go back to sleep. I'm telling you, I'm excited.
Senator Smith, we have about 2 minutes for your word of hope.
Well, my word of hope is we have to be the change that we want to see. We can sit and we can talk about all the ills of the world, but if we don't actively participate in making a change or making a difference, then it won't matter. You started by telling us that there was 800,000 Black people who did not vote in the state of North Carolina. That alone can shift an entire election. And so if people begin to complain about these prices, about housing, about this tax policy, about Leandro, this education, about the Medicaid and what's going on with that, the major question I would have to them is, what part are you playing to make a difference? because change can happen, but you just have to be a part of it. And so I think once we realize that, once we walk in it, once we live that, and we know that our forefathers fought, we can fight. And if we move forward with intention, we can make a difference. We don't want to have our minds where we're thinking we can't do it. It's time out for that. We have to continue to be the little engine that could every single step of the way until these elections go through and we are on top. And then we have to stay on top of our elected officials. I don't care if it's me or anyone else, because the citizens elect us and we have to be accountable to them. They don't put us in position to sit and be called the honorable without doing the work. So if we continue to have that attitude, we're going to make it.
We lost a seat in the state of North Carolina by 23 votes, according to Talia. We've lost a Supreme Court justice in the state of North Carolina by less than 500 votes. 800,000 North Carolinians have not voted in the last election. Our final word of hope by Atiba.
I just want to say this, Jesse, that if your vote wasn't important, they wouldn't make it difficult to vote. So just keep that in mind. And that if they're trying to take it from you, know that it's something that's valuable. And this election, we have to vote in numbers that are too large to manipulate the outcome, because midterms effing matter, and we can flip the Congress, the state, the Senate, and we can do the same thing as state houses all around the country if we just get out and vote.
I want to thank our very special guest, Talia Virgin. I also want to thank Senator Smith for her kind participation in our show. It is my hope, Atiba, that we can bring more state legislators from every state in the union on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, so that those who are listening in Los Angeles, the state of Illinois, around the country and around the world can have a better feel for what's taking place on the ground in our states from those who know it best. I'm Jesse Jackson. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My gratitude to Senator Smith, as well as to Talia Virgin for their leadership, as well as to Atiba for his contribution. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Jury selection is underway in the trial of 4 Florida gang members accused of killing rapper Julio Fulio in 2024.
They were going to make sure that they killed Mr. Jones, that he was not going to live, that they were not going to go back to Jacksonville without him dying.
Prosecutors say the group tracked him to a Tampa hotel during his birthday and planned to seek the death penalty if convicted. Black House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says Democrats will push to pass a resolution limiting President Trump's war powers in Iran during a House session. All Republicans are expected to block it. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate plans to vote on a similar measure next week. And music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is seeking a faster ruling in his appeal after arguments wrapped up in federal court. He was sentenced to 50 months on prostitution-related charges, and his attorneys argue the acts were consensual and protected as judges now weigh their decision. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Did you know April is National Car Care Month? Head to your local Big O Tires for great deals like this. Now, get a synthetic oil change starting at only $39.99, including tire rotation. Plus, get a free multi-point vehicle inspection, too. Find your nearest Big O at BigOTires.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Lakers legend Michael Cooper is the new men's basketball coach at Cal State LA. The NBA Hall of Famer was introduced Thursday morning at a press conference inside the school's arena. Cooper replaces Jim Saya, who retired after 10 seasons. First head coaching job for the 69-year-old Cooper since 2009, when he was leading the WNBA LA Sparks. Cooper played all 12 of his NBA seasons with the Lakers and helped them win 5 championships. The UCLA women's basketball program will receive $1.4 billion in NCAA revenue distribution from the women's basketball tournament. The $1.4 million includes a $75,000 bonus for winning the national championship. Most of the tournament income is generated by gate revenues and the 8-year, $920 million broadcast deal the women's tournament has with ESPN. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
When the story gets twisted, who's going to tell the truth? When they cut the microphones, who's still talking? When history gets rewritten, who remembers what really happened? We do. KBLA Talk 1580. Black media isn't just important right now, it's essential. Because when mainstream outlets move on, we stay. When the headlines ignore our communities, we don't. When decisions are being made that affect Black lives in our schools, our neighborhoods, our economy, KBLA is in the room. This is more than radio. This is a lifeline, a record, a rallying cry. Black stories, Black voices, Black power.
The heat is on.
On the air and in the culture. KBLA Talk 1580. Stay connected. Stay informed. Stay loud.
Stand up.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I am in New York City, boss. Over Central Park in the the New York Sheraton, Times Square, with the National Action Network, Reverend Al Sharpton's conference, which is really a global conference. And we are connecting Los Angeles through KBLA coast to coast with our live show here in New York City. And we're touching base with people around the world. Our regular contributor at this hour is none other than Johnny J. Mack. Dr. Mack is a social entrepreneur, scholar practitioner with expertise in subject matter areas of peace. Lord knows we need that in the world. Conflict, that's exactly what's happening in the world. And the need for social change through movements. He has traveled extensively throughout the Americas, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East. The Middle East is in the news, working in fields of peace, development, conflict, and non-violent social change. Dr. Mack's seminal work, After Confrontation, Then What? I am here in New York in part participating in a panel led by Dr. Mack with global leaders who will also be participating in that panel, discussing the state of our world and what's next in the World House. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. And thank you very much for the invitation of allowing me to participate in this great panel at the National Action Network.
Jesse, it's great to be here, and thank you for accepting. We're really excited about our conversation tomorrow.
Johnny, can you lead us through your expectations of the conversation and the importance of it at this hour?
Well, the importance is multifaceted, Jesse. Of course, beginning with, as you mentioned, the setting is the annual convention of the National Action Network. It happens to be the 35th anniversary of the founding of the National Action Network by Reverend Al Sharpton. And so this 35th year of the convention is quite significant. It's also significant for the reasons that you just mentioned in terms of what is happening in the globe today. Much of the work of the National Action Network has been stateside, if you will, domestic. We have many problems here in the United States, civil and human rights. And the National Action Network, Jesse, has been on the forefront of responding, as you know, to the many challenges that confront people who have been marginalized in so many different ways. And so that's significant. But that significance, it reaches far beyond the United States. Many people around the globe follow the work of Reverend Al Sharpton and the National Action Network. And I represent Reverend Sharpton. I have the privilege of doing so. and the National Action Network internationally. And so we help to organize his reach and responses that come from around the globe to him and the National Action Network.
You know, Johnny, I love the lineage from Martin Luther King Jr. To Jesse Jackson, founding of Operation Breadbasket, the founding of Operation Push, an assignment given to Reverend Jesse Jackson, of course, that being Operation Breadbasket. When my father met Reverend Sharpton was but 13, I think, maybe 16 years old. And now my father is obviously deceased, and so I am here in New York to support the work of Reverend Al Sharpton, because my father referred to Al Sharpton as one of his great students, if not his best student. In fact, called him disciple number one. And the extent to which that discipleship not only includes domestic concerns, but includes international concerns, which obviously Martin Luther King Jr. connected us to in his Beyond Vietnam speech, in the recognition that there was a relationship between our budget priorities at home and the resources that were being spent abroad to kill Black and brown people. The propitiousness, Johnny, of this moment matters, and the significance of this conference is growing in stature every single year. Dr. Mack?
It is indeed. And, you know, Jesse, the work your dad did, when you talk about the lineage, is quite significant. And I mean, the international work itself, of course, much like Reverend Sharpton, your dad reset the bar, quite frankly, in his time in civil and human rights work, not only here in the United States, but around the globe. And I heard Reverend Sharpton say this morning, acknowledging this morning, your father mentoring him, and he now standing on the shoulders of your dad and of Martin Luther King Jr. And so this lineage is exceedingly important, and we're just privileged to be part of the work.
On the question, I know that we have just a minute before we come forward, and maybe I'll raise this after we do come forward. I think that oftentimes we are so limited in our thinking by the pain and the suffering, that which happens domestically to us, that we don't see the role that our government is playing, not only domestically, but the role that it is playing internationally, that Dr. King put particular focus and emphasis on when he referred in that same speech that he could no longer accept the idea and had very difficult problems coming to the recognition and the reality that the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today is none other than mine own government. If there is any confusion about that, pay very close attention. Without the support of Congress, therefore without the support of the people, the President of the United States has unilaterally engaged. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. Johnny Mack when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Deshauna Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Time is up. The IRS is in full collection mode for 2025, issuing liens, levies, and garnishments to anyone who has a past tax debt or unfiled tax returns. Don't wait till it's too late. Your paycheck and bank accounts are at risk of being seized. Call now and stop the collection process today. If you're living check to check, no matter how much you're making, you still may qualify for the Fresh Start programs offered by the IRS to reduce or even eliminate your tax debt. It's just a 5-minute call to get your options, and it's free. If you owe back taxes, have years of unfiled tax returns, under audit, have a wage or bank levy, or finally just want to sleep better, business or personal, call the experts at Republic Tax Relief while there's still time. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, and tough. This veteran-owned company has the fight you need to take on the IRS. Don't go at it alone. The call is free. Call their hotline number now, 800-259-4149. That's 800-259-4149. Find out if you qualify today. Call 800-259-4149 or go to republictaxrelief.com.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm live in New York at the National Action Network Conference, where one of the significant players in this conference since its inception for more than 35 years has been none other than Dr. Johnny Mack, who is essentially the International Affairs Director for the National Action Network and special advisor to Reverend Al Sharpton, who my father had tremendous faith in with respect to his global leadership as well as domestic leadership. Johnny, the President of the United States, since we last spoke, talked about wiping out a human civilization. And he balked at the idea, in large measure, not only because of concerns raised by activists here in the United States, but because poor people in Iran also surrounded their infrastructure, including bridges and desalination plants, as well as power plants, willing to sacrifice nonviolently their lives against the Goliath militaries of the United States and the Israeli government. A profound moment in the struggle for nonviolence globally, in my opinion, and it's not being talked about enough. Johnny Mack?
You know, Jesse, this is just incredible, isn't it? That we have the President of the United States to make such a statement, particularly in today's world. And, you know, I'm reminded of Martin Luther King Jr.'s statement when it comes to challenges and issues like this, I'm sure you're familiar, and many listening to us today might be familiar with his statement that the ultimate measure of, he said a man, but of any person, a man or a woman, is not where he or she stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of challenge and controversy. And that's where we are today with the kind of rhetoric we're getting out of this administration and the president himself. And that statement applies to each and every one of us, Jesse. Where do we stand in these times of controversy and conflict? And what will be that ultimate measure that we will demonstrate and live up to? We have to stand for right. We have to stand for justice. We have to stand for peace. And that's what Dr. King stood for. That's what your dad stood for. It's what the work of Reverend Sharpton and the National Action Network stands for. And you yourself, Jesse, and the great work that you're doing.
Johnny, Major General Paul D. Eaton, USA retired, said this: wiping out an entire civilization is the very definition of genocide. Any order given to that effect must be refused by every service member up and down the chain, period. Quote, this is exactly what senators were talking about when they issued a video saying illegal orders must be refused. Now it may be time for service members to follow their recommendation. Johnny, that's very close to the kind of dissent within the ranks of the United States military that suggests the President of the United States, our civilian-based command, could be losing control of our non-civilian-based military, who could conceivably, let's hope it doesn't come to that, take matters into their own hand and disobey presidential orders. Johnny, a dangerous moment in American and human history.
It is a dangerous moment indeed. It may well, it certainly, when one thinks about the Cuban Missile Crisis, we used to say that was probably the most dangerous moment in our modern history, in terms of the United States anyway. Where we are today, Jesse, arguably rivals that moment, and what our president is proffering, is suggesting in terms of the power of this country. We are reminded once again of King's statement about violence and the purveyor of that violence, and we have the personification of that in this presidency today. But once again, Major General Eaton's comment speaks to every single person in the military, as well as every citizen. And so that once again goes back to King's statement that we have to stand up and prove to ourselves, of this nation and the world, that we'll rise to the occasion and not let this kind of behavior stand. Many are talking about Article 25 of the Constitution, Jesse. And if at any time, there was a time when Article 25 should be invoked, arguably, this is that time.
Yeah, the 25th Amendment is certainly something that the world has been reflecting upon, and certainly domestically, there have been a number of organizations, a number of leaders, including the governor of Illinois and other governors around the country and elected officials, who are calling for the invocation of the 25th Amendment. That is the amendment challenging the president's capacity to serve as commander-in-chief and to serve as president of the United States. It requires members of the cabinet to be in agreement. The president is without that kind of capacity. And I'm thinking in this moment, Johnny, that the people of Cuba, the president has already threatened them by suggesting they're up next. I'm also thinking that mineral-rich African nations who find themselves precariously no longer in a Cold War, but in a war over their own vital resources, may find it increasingly difficult to defend their interests on the global stage against the greed and that is taking place here in the United States. at the end of the barrel of the U.S. military. Johnny, your thoughts about the use of the U.S. military to shake countries down?
Well, it's not just the use of the military itself. One of the greatest concerns that I have, Jesse, is the quiet deals that are being made behind closed doors with this current administration. And sadly, Jesse, with many African states, this is why the work of the global diaspora is so very important. And one of the things we'll be discussing on our panel tomorrow, we have got to build that solidarity and a global polity among people of African descent that brings a kind of moral support to the people and the challenges confronting the people of Africa. The idea that we would use our military as a new phase of recolonizing Africa, particularly targeting rare earth minerals and the like, is just unconscionable. And it cannot stand. It should not stand. And we, ordinary citizens, have to do our part, particularly in the global diaspora, to ensure that these kinds of things don't stand.
Dr. Mack, what is our part against the backdrop of the quiet nature of the deals that are being cut? My father used to ask the question, why don't African nations have significant African American lobbyists arguing their case on Capitol Hill and interests with corporate America? Why is it that these deals are taking place right before our very eyes, but Africans don't see African Americans as the go-between between the interest here in the United States, and by the way, might be the only leverage that African Americans have for domestic policy concerns, if in fact they are backed by a nation. For example, it's hard to imagine that European countries don't have European Americans advocating for their interests before the Congress of the United States, or Israel doesn't have the American-Israeli Political Action Committee arguing on behalf of their interest in the United States. Just like Black Jesus or White Jesus, we don't see in each other business partnerships that not only strengthen us domestically, but could also strengthen Africa within the continental United States. Why is that, John?
Jesse, I wish I had the answer, but there's much to say here. There's much to argue here. The idea of integration was a very important idea in the mid-20th century. Integration and ultimately assimilation became the target for success for many African Americans, even coming out of the height of the modern civil rights movement. And much of our leadership was lost, Jesse, to those efforts of integration and assimilation. And much of that continues today. It's one thing to fit in. It's one thing to go along, to get along. It's another thing to stand for what's right. I think that what beckons us today as a people is to stand for the right and to build that solidarity that I spoke of just a bit earlier. The problem is we've lost that sense of self as a people. And unless we find it, I think, Jesse, we will continue to be not leaders, but followers of someone else's wishes and desires. And that's what we're confronted with today.
Johnny, we have a clip that our producer is asking me to go to that speaks to some of these issues. Taz.
I want to bring in Firas Maksad, Managing Director for the Middle East and North Africa for the Eurasia Group. Also with us, Colonel Jack Jacobs, Medal of Honor recipient and MS Now military analyst. Colonel, what kinds of considerations are service members potentially having to make today?
Well, you have to distinguish between the considerations of people at the bottom of the food chain and those who are at the top and who are closest to the President of the United States. If you're at the bottom of the food chain, you need to do whatever you're told unless you're given an order that's immoral or illegal. And for those who are not in leadership positions, that means taking account of the tactical situation around them. And there are some things that are intuitively obvious to the casual observer you're not allowed to do, and who's ordered to do so, you not only can refuse, but you must refuse. However, if you're at the top, if you're one of the leaders with wearing stars, you're an advisor to the President of the United States, you're the leader of your service, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, you have an obligation to make sure that not only don't we do anything immoral or illegal, that we also don't do anything that's stupid. And the consideration of what is immoral or illegal is very much different at the top of the food chain than it is at the bottom. And if we're going to avoid doing something we should not do, the buck is going to stop with the people at the top of the military food chain.
Colonel, I also want to tell you about something that Kevin Barron, who I just spoke to, had to say. He's the former VP of Pentagon Press Association. He said he's never been more nervous for a night like this in his career. And Congressman Adam Smith just shared a similar sentiment with me. Take a listen.
I'm deeply worried about it. I basically share everything that your previous panel said. I mean, this is an unprecedented place for the United States to have gone. Republican sycophants in Congress who want to say, oh, come on, you can hit bridges, you can hit power plants because they're connected to the military, which theoretically is true, but that is not what the lunatic in chief has been.
Genocide is illegal. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We talk about it in the World House over and over and over again since Johnny Mack and I have been on this program together for the last year. We have so much more to talk about, including cooperation between African governments, strengthening their relationship with black power brokers here in the United States, and using those power brokers who know the politics and the history of the United States better than any other group to bring about the kind of justice people of Africa and African Americans in the United States deserve. More when we come forward with Johnny Mack right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. First Lady Melania Trump says she had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's sex crimes and denies any connection to him, including claims she was ever on his plane.
Donald and I were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time.
Speaking from the White House, she called the allegations false smears and says her legal team is demanding retractions from those spreading them, including political strategist James Carville. A pilot program aimed at boosting reading skills among D.C. students is showing strong results. Funded by a $16 million federal grant, the effort focused on low-income and Black students and helped reduce the achievement gap by about a third. And Alcorn State University is partnering with NVIDIA to bring AI into its curriculum, becoming the first HBCU in Mississippi to do so. The initiative aims to train thousands in AI, machine learning, and data science. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Did you know April is National Car Care Month? Head to your local Big O Tires for great deals like this. Now, get a synthetic oil change starting at only $39.99, including tire rotation. Plus, get a free multi-point vehicle inspection, too. Find your nearest Big O at BigOTires.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Lakers legend Michael Cooper is the new men's basketball coach at Cal State LA. The NBA Hall of Famer was introduced Thursday morning at a press conference inside the school's arena. Cooper replaces Jim Saya, who retired after 10 seasons. First head coaching job for the 69-year-old Cooper since 2009 when he was leading the WNBA LA Sparks. Cooper played all 12 of his NBA seasons with the Lakers and helped them win 5 championships. The UCLA women's basketball program will receive $1.4 billion in NCAA revenue distribution from the women's basketball tournament. The $1.4 million includes a $75,000 bonus for winning the national championship. Most of the tournament income is generated by gate revenues and the 8-year, $920 million broadcast deal the women's tournament has with ESPN. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit Tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
I need a little range, step to the range.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
Paid for by government. The 1986 to 2021 United States Silver Eagle, the first ever U.S. silver dollar minted in 99.9% pure silver and is the best-selling coin in the world. These original and historic silver dollars have ceased production forever. They will never be minted again. For a limited time only, full pound bags of original U.S. government-struck silver dollars are being released to the public. You can own a full pound of original U.S. silver dollar coins featuring Lady Liberty and the heraldic eagle, never to be struck again. Guaranteed. Call now to secure original United States Silver Eagles by the pound. The first U.S. silver dollars ever to be struck in 99.9% pure silver. Plus, receive a free bonus, an American Collector's Pack valued at over $40 and free shipping with every order. Call 1-800-560-6468 now to secure your full pound bag of United States Silver Eagle coins before they are gone. That's 1-800-560-6468.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson. Looking forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, KBLA Talk 1580. This is Thought-Provoking Thursdays, and we are in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack, a man who really needs no introduction. And I have so many thoughts that I want to share with Johnny Mack in this hour that I'm not going to give the standard introduction of Johnny Mack. I just want to share with you that I don't know many people who have dug as deep into the philosophy and the thinking of Martin Luther King Jr. as Johnny Mack are still living. So I'm grateful that he is a regular contributor right here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the show.
Jesse, it's just a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Johnny, can you share with us first and foremost, before we begin our continued discussion, the ways in which we can support your organization?
Well, Jesse, our website is theworldhouseproject.org. Again, theworldhouseproject.org. And there you can find about our work, and you can make a tax-deductible contribution.
Johnny, you know, I dream of a world where the South African government, the Botswana government, the government of Uganda, the government of the Congo, the government of Mozambique, the government of Angola, sub-Saharan African countries, all say to the world that if you want to do business with sub-Saharan Africa, we will only do business with you through Mack Consulting. Now, don't respond to that yet, because it's Johnny Mack Consulting. As opposed to these African countries looking for lobbyists in Washington and lobbyists at big firms, empowering Johnny Mack in negotiations over critical minerals, over that which the people of Africa need to extract from an American deal, which includes schools and seed and agricultural products and health care and building housing and building roads, not just from mineral mines to the coast, but basic roads and sidewalks in basic communities. That empowering Johnny Mack domestically, and I use you as the example, means that 5 Black Talk-owned radio stations in the United States call Johnny Mack and say, listen, I know you're doing business with our brothers and sisters in Africa, and you spread the love to Black Talk Radio and provide sponsorship to Black Talk Radio. As a result of those initiatives, share with the American people and the Black community why they can vacation in Uganda, make investments and buy homes in Uganda, strengthen Africa, and at the same time build bridges between our communities on the main continent with our communities in the United States. I don't know why it takes so long to get to the basic idea that we ought to be representing Africa and that Africa ought to have an interest in the diaspora and those communities in our country that are disconnected from Africa. You better believe that European countries have European representatives in Washington. They're using European law firms, lobbying Congress and state legislatures to bring their businesses to states. And we are finally included in those dynamics. But in effect, it's because they relate to a land based in Europe that relates to their interest here in the United States. But theoretically, our land base in Africa does not relate to Black America that way. Johnny, why is that?
Well, you know, Jesse, we're a product of slavery, of course. And part of that product included how we developed as a social group. You know, educationally, economically, we did not build the institutional infrastructures until the mid-20th century. And this is a really important point, Jesse, and I hope I articulated it well. We were denied education and, you know, so many opportunities for the development of our community. But many communities in the mid 20th century, whether it was in Atlanta or Tulsa or Nashville, developed businesses, radio stations, newspapers, hospitals. We had an alternative social infrastructure that provided opportunity economically, professionally, culturally. We lost that spirit of social institution building. We gave those up. We sold them off. We were also robbed, and many of those communities and institutions were burned down. I'm thinking of Tulsa, Oklahoma. But we've lost the spirit, Jesse, of building our own for our own. And too many other, or most others, of specific ethnic groups did not lose that spirit and were not excluded from those opportunities. And it's not the only reason why we don't have that connection, but it is a major part of what is a very complex problem with particularly African Americans, but the diaspora in general.
I think we need to take a quick leap to the future, and we need to do it very quickly. And the reason I say that is because it is one thing to negotiate with Apple or Microsoft for a Negro franchise. By the way, Apple stores are all owned by the company, so this is exaggeration, of course. But it's another thing to say that I represent the country of the Congo, or I represent Uganda. And I also represent the lithium interests on the ground in the Congo and in Uganda. And you can't power your iPhone unless you remove lithium from the ground in the Congo. And in exchange for that, as Congolese, we'd like 2 seats on the board of Apple. We'd like to make sure that not only are you using our law firms and our accounting firms, but that you're building cell towers across the continent, that you're making iPads available in urban schools, that our schools are being prioritized in the AI economy, and not just schools on, let's say, the north side of Chicago, who might be taking advantage of growing economies. In other words, this is a game of leverage. With Africa can do for us, there is so much more for Africa that we can do for them with that basic partnership. Some of us thought that that partnership would occur through the Africa Growth and Opportunity Act. When I was in Congress, I believed and sponsored and authored what I called the HOPE Bill, Human Rights Opportunity Partnership and Empowerment Act, because the history of Africans being exploited by American trade policy was not new. And we needed a fundamentally different approach that included the empowerment of Black businesses in the United States for that purpose. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More when we come forward on KBLA with the great Dr. Johnny Mack at the National Action Network Conference. When we come forward.
looking for a job today. Baby's gotta eat, gotta make a living. No luck getting on the gravy train. Another night on the street chillin', out there chillin'. A young man wanna be a big success, sells misery to the people. Another man running round insane, blowing up trains and planes, saying God said do that. That ain't God you hear. This generation gotta make a better vibration, so that the next generation will really care how they relate. This generation gotta show the next generation, so that the future generations will have better relations. On the gravy train, looking for a better life for her children. Disappearing fathers, where are you? Your creator is watching you. A young man wanna be a big success, don't sell misery, try selling freedom. Try selling freedom, yeah. Freedom to dream, and freedom to sing. Oh, yeah. This generation gotta make a better vibration, so that the next generation will really care how they relate.
Society successfully and to help them maintain a healthy relationship with their romantic partner. They offer a mentorship support group for formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In teaches its Intimate Relationships 101 curriculum at male prisons throughout the state of California. They host sister support group meetings for women who are intimately involved with incarcerated and formerly incarcerated men. 10 Toes In is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. To access their services or make a donation, please visit them online at 10toesin.org or find them on Facebook or Instagram. They are healing lives through relationships. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds. Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code BOOST to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code BOOST to borrow up to $10,000. Use code BOOST to borrow up to $10,000.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse
Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
We are live in the National Network Conference. It's the 35th anniversary under the leadership of Reverend Al Sharpton, who soon will be moving their official headquarters of the National Action Network to a firehouse in Harlem, New York, where he's not only naming it the House of Office, he's naming it the Jesse Jackson Senior Workshop, out of honor of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, whose organization, Operation Push in Chicago, was named the Martin Luther King Jr. Workshop in the early 1970s. And consistent with that lineage, Jackson family is extremely grateful to Reverend Sharpton for his willingness to name the official headquarters of the National Action Network in honor of the work of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. Johnny, thank you for being on our program today, and I'm very much looking forward to our panel tomorrow.
Jesse, it's great to be here. Thank you very much, and thank you for agreeing to join this important panel tomorrow.
Johnny, there's so much that we oftentimes never get the opportunity to discuss, but I do want to raise this concern with you. So many of our conferences this summer will, my father would say, essentially be issuing resolutions in the form of panels and in the form of speeches, which are essentially, whereas we're mad at Donald Trump, whereas we are upset with MAGA, whereas we want the war to end in the Middle East and the genocide against the Palestinian people to stop, whereas, for good measure, the genocide against African Americans in our own country to cease and desist immediately before 9 o'clock tonight. Whereas. But then Dad would always raise the question, Johnny, I want you to take your time with this, and you can conclude it at your report to the top of the, and that is this. Dad would raise the question, at what point in time as a community are we going to get to the therefore? Therefore, we are highly resolved that by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're going to fight for justice and end racism and put a time limit on this thing. By 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we are going to register every Negro in America who's unregistered to vote by 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Therefore, we promise that we're going to fight before the Congress session is over for health care for all Americans, and we anticipate in achieving that. Therefore, these are the things we're going to do, and put a time frame on it. Johnny, at this critical hour, 35th anniversary of the National Action Network, I'm sure Reverend Sharpton and this organization, of which I am a member and I support, are sharpening the pencil on the great therefores of this hour. Johnny, work with us both domestically and internationally on the therefores of where we are as a movement.
Yes, the therefores, and then now then let it be resolved. But you know,
that's that part right there.
You know, there is a you know, the resolve, the commitment to Jesse. We can't leave out either. But therefore, obviously, is the conclusion of the matter. These are the things, the non-negotiables that we must do. They are the critical triggering points. They are the essentials, right? And we as a people have to determine what those are beyond conversation. And they're basic. They're not rocket science. They are drawing red lines and saying we will not go beyond this red line. Jesse, I don't know what those red lines are. We as the people have to collectively in our churches, in our social institutions, Jesse, around our kitchen tables, we have to take seriously the challenge that we're faced with. We can't look to others to do this for us. And we've been discussing this as a people for a very, very long time. Yes. But what is the resolve? The resolve has to be for our children and for our children's children.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Johnny, I can't wait to spend time with you tomorrow, and I'm so looking forward to it. More when we come forward on KBLA from the National Election Network. I'll see you guys tomorrow right here in New York.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.